Hi, this is Amy from Good Food Unearthed, and we are going into the fifth and final part of this short presentation as an overview on human rights. So, we've covered in part one human rights, what they are, why we have them, if there's ever a reason to violate them. And part two, we've looked specifically at the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and constitutional law. Part three, we looked at international treaties to which Canada is a signatory. In part four, we looked at medical law, both Canadian and international, with ethics as well. So, what we're going to finish off with here is looking at what it means to be human and crimes against humanity. I'm going to touch on these. So, what we did define when we looked at the international treaties and we looked at the Rome Statute from the International Criminal Court, what a crime against humanity was. So, that is included in part three if you haven't seen that already. So, what does it mean to you to be human? So, if you look it up, there aren't really any good definitions. But you have something that's like having the qualities, faults, and feelings that people have as opposed to gods, animals, or machines. And mainly, the best that you can find is if you look up inhuman. What is the opposite? So, inhuman is defined as lacking kindness, pity, or compassion, being cruel or indifferent, not suited for human needs, not of ordinary human nature, form, or character. Well, what are human needs? Humans need food, air, water, unpolluted preferably, clothing, shelter, human connection, physical, mental, spiritual, a connection to the natural environment, to all of the elements of nature, freedom of movement, all of the fundamental freedoms and rights that are inalienable, which means they're a part of us. So if we go back to that, we know that we're born free. We have free will. We also are born with reason and conscience. That's how we operate. Now, what it means to be human is something that you need to ask yourself as an individual. What does it mean to you to be human? And one of the things I think most of all that humans need is loving kindness or compassion, which is also called unconditional love. That nurturing energy that supports growth and coevolution. Without this, humans break down. They break down physically, they break down psychologically, they break down spiritually. They see no point in living. And in the worst case, they may decide to end their life early. So think to yourself, what does it mean to you to be human? The idea of sacrificing yourself for the common good is really a fallacy because you cannot separate one from the other, self from the other. The collective is an illusion. The community, the whole, is just a bunch of individuals. And if you violate the rights of an individual, you violate the rights of the community. If you harm an individual, you harm the community. If you, as an individual, decide to harm yourself and you think you're doing good for the community, it's actually the opposite. So if you say, well, I'm going to accept the health risks that I get from wearing this mask because I believe it's going to be of benefit to the community. That's not the way that it works. And look at the pictures that I have here. Not the Borg, but the humans there. All of them exist in our collective humanity, but they are all unique individuals. As we talked about at the start of this in part one, everything that lives is unique. It is unimaginable that two people or two briar roses should be identical. If you attempt to erase the peculiarities and individuality of life by violence or by force, then life itself must suffocate because it's an impossibility to create conformity. It is an illusion to imagine that such control is possible. You can have people outwardly appear that they have conformed, but they are all still inherently unique individual human beings. What brings us together in our commonality is that we are all human. We are all born free. We are all unique expressions of consciousness. We are all endowed with reason and conscience. And we all, each one of us, all as a commonality, have a unique perception of our unique experiences. And the choice that needs to be made, it always belongs to the individual. It is you, it is me, it is your neighbor, it is that one person. Your choice is the only choice you can make. This is where we have free will, and free will can never be taken away. An individual can try to repress your choice, try to repress your freedom, try to limit your options, try to subjugate you, but you always have free will. And it's your choice to accept freedom or to choose to follow a tyrant. And a tyrant is a person who wants you to follow their dictates and will punish you if you do not follow their dictates. And you can think about that on a micro scale and a macro scale. They're one and the same. If you have a person in your life who believes that they are always right and that you must concede to them, and if you do not, they will punish you in some way, whether it's shaming you or ignoring you or doing something they know will cause you pain so that you will eventually come around to complying with their way of thinking. You can allow that to happen, or you can take a stand. And you can trust that if that person respects you, they will recognize your right to have your own freedom of conscience and thought and belief and opinion. And that even though your opinions and thoughts and beliefs differ, we can all peacefully coexist and co-evolve together. It's not you must do this or this will happen. Nature doesn't work that way. One small drop causes a ripple of effect. And you are not just a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. When you come to know yourself, to really know yourself, then you can know everything around you because the fundamental principles remain the same. The natural law remains the same. But you have to discover that on your own. Nobody can tell you what it is. You come to know it yourself. And you already do. Just look. Resolve to serve no more, and you are at once freed. I do not ask that you place hands upon the tyrant to topple him over. This is using force against force, like hate against hate, but simply that you support him no longer. His only power is that which you confer to him. Then you will behold him like a great colossus whose pedestal has been pulled away, fall of his own weight and break into pieces. This is where we create our own monsters through our own actions, our own complicit actions. We create our tyrants because we concede that perception of power and influence onto them. And through our actions, we every day are saying that, yes, you have that power and influence. Yes, yes, that's right. I can only complain. I can only petition. I can only protest, but you have so much more power and influence over me. And yet it's just one man or woman, one person, just as you are one person. And it's illusory to think that one individual is superior to another in any way. There are differences, yes, superficial differences, but there's no superiority or inferiority. If you say to yourself in your mind, I am individually sovereign, I do not give permission to anyone else to make the decisions for my life, I have free will, then you will not be conferring power to any individual or any collection of individuals ever. No one will own you ever. Etienne also wrote that everyone knows that the fire from a little spark will increase and blaze ever higher as long as it finds wood to burn. Yet without being quenched by water, but merely by finding no more fuel to feed on, it consumes itself, dies down, and is no longer a flame. Similarly, the more tyrants pillage, the more they crave, the more they ruin and destroy, and the more one yields to them and obeys them, by that much do they become mightier and more formidable, the readier to annihilate and destroy. But if not one thing is yielded to them, if without any violence they are simply not obeyed, they become naked and undone and as nothing, just as when the root receives no nourishment, the branch withers and dies. And that is up to each one of us. Your choice, from your perspective, your experience, your free will. Where are you giving your energy to? Who are you supporting? With all of your daily activities, where is that going? What world is it perpetuating? And now that you are conscious, where do you want your energies, your daily activities to go? What do you want to support? Thank you for taking this short course, and I hope it has left you somewhat more informed about your human rights, specifically here in Canada, and with regard to medical law and international treaties. And I hope that this can help you to stand up for yourself and for your children or for any dependents that you have, and help as well to raise awareness, to empower others. We do not need violence. We do not need force. We need to know who we are, what we have already, and that all we need to do is shift direction. But the choice is yours. For you. For you, it's yours. For me, it's mine. And that's a way a free society functions. All right. Thank you.